you moved from a corporate job in Deloitte into entrepreneurship. You started your first company, and now you're on to your second one. So, what motivated you to make this big leap switch, and how did you go about it?
Well, I think this was something which was always in my mind to create something, to have something of my own. And being in Deloitte made me realize that though the corporate culture is really cool, it was really fun over there, and I learned a lot. But somewhere down the line, I felt that I would be doing the similar kind of stuff over the years, and I might just be another name in the big 40,000 odd employees company. And this was something which I did not wish, and I always wanted to create an identity for myself. uh, I was young and I thought there are so many backup options that are available, and this is the best time because responsibilities are less. So let's dive into it. Some good ideas were there. A friend was willingly a partner in the company, and we together started our first venture, which was exciting, and we really learned a lot. And I'm happy that I took that decision over that time, because the kind of learnings I've had over the last decade actually now. So I think I would not have missed it for anyone or for anything. So the journey has been exciting, and I've loved it. So every part of it, it has been challenging, no doubt. There have been days where everything or anything that you think would go wrong, and there have been days where you enjoy success, the little successes that come all the way, and that is what you cherish. All right, those kind of moments, I can still feel jitters. I can still realize everything that has happened over the years that has made me what I am today. So the corporate life is something that I'm going to build again with my own company. And I'm sure that the learnings that I had in Deloitte would something I would like to incorporate in the company that I'm growing now.
I'm sure you have had fair share of challenges. What were some of the biggest challenges you had to overcome? Maybe talk about two or three of them, and how did you overcome those?
Right. Challenges are not just two or three. I mean, I think every day in an entrepreneur's life is a challenge in itself, because you get to see or to get to overcome a new hurdle every day. To begin with, the first thing that an entrepreneur says is that, what's the idea? What is that I'm going to do? And you create some fancy ideas on a piece of paper. You think that, okay, like the way I discussed with my partner, I was 23 years old at that time. I said that, okay, we are going to create a product for 5,000. We're going to sell it to 1,000 customers. We'll get 50 lakh rupees. We'll pick up our bikes. We'll go to an all India tour, and we'll have some fun and everything. So that is something that that was the whims and fancies. And the moment we started building everything, we realized that it's the operations and everything is something which is taking a huge chunk on us. That is a huge exercise in itself, and the planning and everything that you do is always thrown out of the window, and you have to do everything. You have to plan every day. You have to work out the solutions, and then we realize that sometimes the solutions that we think and that we tried to build is something which the you know, customer actually does not need. So for us, that was a learning in itself, and was a challenge to overcome big time as to exactly what we're building is going to, how it is going to help the end customer. So prototyping is something which is very important. There was little mentorship at that time, which I think every company or every entrepreneur should seek. And we learned it the hard way that prototyping is something which is very important. You should basically create small models before MVPs are a very integral part. So, and you have to try to make money with your MVPs before you go and sell your final product. So that was the lesson learned hard way. And so we had to modify and remodel a lot of things based upon the customer feedback. Second thing is that you should never actually love the ideas, or be very very inflexible with what you have thought of. Sometimes that backstabs you in a big way, because if you're not uh, addressing the market, if you're not understanding what the market needs and you're just trying to sell what you want to sell, it backfires. So you need to be flexible and say, okay, this is something which you feel is really nice, but the customer does not value it that much. So you should be able to scratch that, or even maybe sideline it to make way for something which might be really simple, but very very beneficial, or for the end customers, and very very demanding from the customer. So you have to grasp that as well. That you should be receptive to what the market needs, and you should always plan your expenses well. So if you are coming out with a business model, you should know, you should understand that it is going to require money, you are going to require money. uh, Building the product is one thing, more important is the selling part of it. You should have finances, you should have a definite plan of how you're going to go, and what is your go to market strategy, and how you're going to sell it to the end customer, how you're going to make money. If you're not going to make money, then what is your backup plan? So if you're going the investor way, then you should be clear that how long it is going to take, what is the kind of runway that you're having. Because many startups I've seen now, right in front of my eyes, who just vanished just because they did not have a clear business plan, who could not plan or manage their expenses well. And at the end of the day, one or two of the partners said that, enough of the burden that they are having, and they would not be able to continue, and the entire company collapsed that way. So whatever you do, you should have a very very clear understanding of how you're going to go to the investors, how you're going to the customers, how you're going to make money. If uh, whatever it is, your business plan and your go to market strategy is something which is very important, and you should have it on the day one. I think
Great,
these are the important things.
great. That's very insightful for everybody to take note of and go into that journey. So, Aman, talent is a very big problem for startups in initial days. And what are some of the ways people can, attract talent to their startup as well as retain that talent in later stages of the company?
Yes, Aman, that is one of the very very important actually aspects of any company, to get the right people on board, because that is what the company is about. So if you have the right people, obviously you'll get the job done in the right way. Else it becomes very difficult with if you don't have the right people working with you. So acquiring the right talent requires you to actually bring them on board with what you are thinking, what you envision as the future of the company. So every person should be able to share that vision, who is joining you in the company, and you should be very very transparent with them in every way possible. And we definitely try to maintain that policy in the company. So in the initial phase, what you can do is that you can try and onboard those people who you are in direct contact with, whom you know, whom you personally can approach, and who can actually believe in your vision. So those people generally come in as a very very integral part of the company. They might even be, in if it's a very very early stage company, so these people can actually be some kind of equity holders in the company. And going forward, once the company grows, and maybe you have some seed, you have some clear plan, and you now want to get more good people on board, then ESOPs is something which helps the company in a big way. Because the people in India are now the young talent in India. They also see that the startup community is growing like anything, and they would also want to be a part of it. And ESOPs is the right way to actually uh, uh, attract them towards yourself, and secondly also make them want to do more for the company, because now they are also part of the process. If the company grows, they also grow with the company. So this is one aspect which is very important, that you give them a fair share in the company. You make them believe as to what the company is going to do for them once the company grows, and be very very transparent with them. So this is going to be a problem. And as I said, that if you have a clear understanding that these are the kind of resources that you're going to need, some of them might join in the company, and some of them might be very costly to hire. So outsourcing is something which can be thought of. And secondly, going to the investors as soon as possible, getting your idea funded so that you can actually afford this kind of people and get about uh, the best development or the best marketing that you can think of in the available resources. So that kind of approach should be followed according to me right from the beginning.
Another challenge that often comes to startups is funding. In initial stages, when you have nothing in place to show, funding is even harder to get. And later stages as well, funding continues to be a challenge, as you mentioned before. What are some of the ways
Correct.
startups can approach this in initial stages, and some pointers to keep in mind in later stages as well?
Uh, Now, with the kind of ecosystem India is building, it is becoming easier for startups to go and actually approach people. There are so many platforms available today. There's so many startup events that are happening. So you should be there. You should be understanding as to how this community is working. Again, you should not be in your whims and fancies. You should go there, attend as many startup events as possible. Take the opportunity of actually going and presenting your ideas in front of the people. You might not succeed in the initial phases, but as the time grows, you'll understand as to what is the demand of the market and how you can shape up your business plan, your go-to-market strategy, your product idea, and you can go about pitching. So the day one might not be the best for everyone, but day 10 would definitely be. And you would be connecting with people who might not be immediate investors, but who might just say that, okay, I like this idea, I like this space, but you need to show me some results before we get into investing in your idea. So these are the kind of people who actually can help you a lot, because they can advise you as well as to what kind of product market fit you should be creating and what kind of goals you should be looking at. Once that is starts happening, you should once you start getting some kind of interest from certain community of investors, then the doors start opening. All right, you have to be patient. It is not a simple exercise. It is going to take a while. For some it takes 2 to 3 months, but for some others it takes 6 months to maybe an year. So you have to be patient and keep approaching the right people, and in the process not leaving behind your product. All right, so you have to manage everything. So if you do that, it is something which is definitely going to be there. As we did we had a clear plan, we had a clear product idea, and we showed some initial results which helped us to raise a first round. And subsequently we kept on building the product, and we kept on meeting right people, kept on showing them what we are building and how it is going to change the future and how it is going to become a big company. And that is how we were able to successfully raise another couple of rounds for the company and ensure that the development work and the marketing work does not suffer along the way. So planning is very important. Having the right business plan and approaching the investors at the right time so that you are not running out of the money to pay your employees is something you should be definitely looking at.